One of the first characters that we're introduced to in these trailers are Link. We get to see him marching around these dungeons, killing some enemies before attempting to defeat Ganon. We know that he is going to be the character that you play as in the introduction of Echoes of Wisdom, and we know that he's able to defeat Ganon with a sword other than the Master Sword. Link's actions lead to Zelda's escape, even though he was inevitably gone as fast as he was introduced. For once gaining some autonomy over her own life, Zelda's featured as our main protagonist for this game. Maybe with some bits of Link gameplay throughout, there's a lot of debate going on about that currently, but even in this art style, you can tell that she's the Princess of Hyrule that we've all come to know today. She's equipped with the Tri-Rod, which she can use to make echoes of literally anything, from objects to monsters, and she has some additional powers that we'll go over when we get to her fairy, Tri. Alright, and now we come to Ganon. Ganon in this game looks to be a new iteration of Ganon, as I lightly touched on in my last trailer analysis. Ganon, or some incarnation of him, is the first person that we suspect typically when it comes to mass events of destruction around Hyrule, such as rifts opening up all over the world and taking everything with it, including people. However, he could very well be bait, and there could be another antagonist that is yet to be revealed to us. Sure, Ganon dies in the intro, but that body could have been used as bait to capture Link, luring him in with a familiar evil that has a valuable hostage. Last thing I want to note is how they're featured on the cover art of the game, which could possibly point to some type of conflict between them occurring out of our perspective. So the Royal Guards are here as a fun mention, honestly. I also kind of wanted to mention the weird scene where who I presume is Impa in this game is assaulting some Royal Guards while Zelda just kind of sits there and watches her. Are these guards just bad guards? Because there are plenty of scenes where they don't really react to Zelda, or they outright like kneel at her graces when they see her. Either way, something could be up, or there could just be a few bad apples. I'm really not sure, because from what we've seen, it's just kind of weird. Up next, we have Tri, which is the fairy that Zelda meets on her journey, and is the one that gives Zelda the Tri-Rod, which allows her to make echoes, and Tri also lets Zelda use their powers of Bind and Reverse Bond, which a lot of the puzzle mechanics in this game are going to be featured around. One thing I noticed about Tri is that the triangles that act as their trail are inconsistent over the trailer clips, in one clip having none, and sometimes having 3 or 4. They're also very reminiscent of the Triforce, in my opinion. We also don't know what species of fairy Tri is, and it's surely not the same as Navi. This begs the question of where does Tri come from? Twily originate from the Twilight Realm, Navi and the other fairies like her come from the Kokiri Forest, and I could give more examples with different races and species within the game, but simply put, my curiosity is piqued. I don't even know this dude's name, but I'm just going to call him Robbie. I really just wanted to mention this dude because of his resemblance to Robbie in Breath of the Wild. I don't think he is Robbie, but similarly, some Sheikah scientist of some sorts, and who knows what kind of stories or lore or whatever he'll have for us. And this person besides Zelda is who we know as Sadari. We'll get to see and talk more about her later, but for now, based on her design, she appears to be some type of advisor to the king and or Zelda. Her nature has yet to be discerned from any trailers, and we only know her name from translations from the Japanese Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. Here is who I presume to be Impa, if she's present in this installment, because if there were to be some elderly Sheikah lady messing up some people at Zelda's command, it would be Impa. She'd even kick some butt for old time's sake, probably. We still don't know why this old lady, if she's Impa, is attacking these guards while Zelda's watching her. So much for first impressions, I guess. Up next, we get to see one of the ginormous thorns in Hyrule's side. Not really, but Mr. Deku Tree here hasn't really offered us much yet. Not even a pedestal with a Master Sword, just a pedestal with a Triforce engraving on it. Gotta call an Ocarina of Time here with the Triforce pedestals that were eventually used as fast travel points later in the game. I mean, it's a wonder we even get Triforce imagery at all in Echoes of Wisdom, considering its absence from the previous two. Mayhap, if the Triforce is present in this game, the Great Deku Tree could be of great assistance to us, or not. He's always been kind of underwhelming to me, personally. Moving into new trailer territory, we get to see Zelda, the King of Hyrule, General Oogie to the far left, and Sadari on the right in the throne room, before a rift opens up and consumes the latter three. As they're consumed, we get to see them turn into statues. Hello, Super Smash Bros. We don't know much about General Oogie or the king yet. I can assume that the general is the general of Hyrule's army, and or the king's like conflict strategist or something. Um, King Rome bit the dust back in Breath of the Wild, so I wonder if this is King Rome or some other king. They definitely have the big white beard in common, but also he's a king, and I don't. They're supposed to be old and wise and what the fuck ever. So who knows? In the next part of the trailer, we're introduced to the Still World, which is the amalgamation of overworld sections that were swallowed by those rifts that were popping up. These sections are going to act as major dungeons and also seem to be rather expansive. We get to see some of the people who were taken by these rifts frozen in place, fated to eventually fade away entirely. Zelda seems to have some type of immunity, most likely because of Tri and their method of entry versus these people. Another thing mentioned was how there were actual dungeons deep within the Still World, further supporting a rather expansive realm. One of the features revealed in this trailer that a lot of people were really excited about is the sword fighter form. We watch Zelda walk up to some mysterious sword, which allows her to take on the form of a sword fighter, complete with Hylian shield and Phrygian cap. Remember the old magic meter back in games like A Link to the Past? To repurpose this mechanic, you now have a bar of energy that limits the time that you spend in sword fighter mode. There are bits of energy scattered around the still world that you can use to refill this bar, and it also seems to have a level system, possibly letting you store more energy at higher levels. We get to see Dompe in this game as well, except he's not the familiar gravedigger, but rather an inventor. Dompe will make Zelda automatons based on certain enemies and their functions. These could be useful for a multitude of situations and furthers the expressiveness that Nintendo so dearly wants to incorporate into their games coming forward. An appearance that I wasn't expecting, but am welcoming, Volvagia, the subterranean lava dragon little boss from Ocarina of Time. Honestly, W. Even if it's not a direct connection to Ocarina of Time within the game's lore or timeline, this still sets a frame for future remakes of old Zelda titles, basically. And finally, towards the end of the trailer, right before they start promoting the new Switch Lite, we get a very little sneaky clip where we get to see Link with red eyes looking real evil here, before he jumps up to try to attack Zelda, and it cuts to black. Whether or not this clip helps the theory that he will be playable in the game, I can't say, really. I mean, I kind of can, but not really. It's weird that people are obsessed with playing as Link in a game where Zelda is finally playable. While I agree it would be cool to see them actually adventure side by side, I doubt that Nintendo has that in store for us, sadly. I'm sure that there will eventually be a game with Zelda and Link being interchangeable protagonists, but like I said, probably not here. Especially with the presence of Sword Fighter form, I think Link will act more like a mini-boss to some dungeon, or maybe even could be like Girahim, be like a mini-boss multiple times, but we'll just have to wait and see. And that pretty much concludes my little character analysis I've been working on for the past few days. I just decided to tack on the Still World trailer content because it dropped literally today while I was at work, and it's 11 p.m. recording this voiceover, so that's why the video is going to be out so late. With Volvagia being put into Echoes of Wisdom, and like I said earlier, kind of setting a frame for future remakes of old Zelda, they could honestly put any character they would want in and obviously Nintendo has they can put whatever characters they want into their games, right? But if you had a certain character from anywhere in the franchise, anywhere in the Zelda franchise that you would love to see appear or reappear in Echoes of Wisdom, no matter how out of place they would be, let me know down in the comments, because interesting, honest, very interesting stuff, food for thought. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you would like to see more, make sure to subscribe. Thank you.